Hey friends, I'd like to talk about a problematic Wings of Fire ship, Ceril and Clay. I'm also going to be addressing different ships that work well for these characters. Also, sorry in advance, I do not have a proper microphone and am currently using a microphone on my headset, so sorry if the audio is really crappy. I'll try and upgrade later. Anyways, back into the video. Remember, this is just what I think should happen with all things considered. I think the canon ships of these characters work for the plot, but aren't what makes sense for character development wise. Hope that makes sense. And I'm not saying you should ship certain characters, but I'd like you to listen to my reasoning for why I don't. Truthfully, I've probably thought about this more than the normal shipper, so hear me out on this one. Talking about the canon ship first. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. It works for the plot, like character motives, but it doesn't actually make sense. From character perspectives that were given to us, there was never a moment where I felt any chemistry between Ceril and Clay. Think about it. Throughout the first book, Clay was completely oblivious to the obvious crush Ceril had on him. He had to be told by Glory, Tsunami, and Starflight of the crush, and then he denied it, and kept denying it any other time it was brought up, getting uncomfortable and changing the subject quickly after it was brought up. I know some of you are going to be mad that I said that, but I did talk to some Ceril shippers to find out why they ship the two, and here's what I got. Quote, I ship these two because of their strong bond throughout the series, them having a strong relationship with each other, and their scene at the end of book 10 made me sure that they loved each other. End quote. I actually reread the end of book 10 after I heard this. It reads, Clay turned and smiled at her before she could duck out of sight again. She smiled back sheepishly, and he padded across the cave to join her. A bit of awkward conversation happened with Darkstalker, talk about Peril's family, and finally, at the very end, Ceril looked out at the rain. I wonder if I'll ever see him again. I think he's going to stay pretty mad at me forever. You don't need him, Clay said. You have friends now. He ducked his head to meet her eyes. You have me. Okay, I get that was a cute moment, but considering how Clay is depicted in the books, wouldn't he say that to anyone? You don't need him, Starflight, Clay said. You have friends. He ducked his head to meet his eyes. You have me. You don't need him, an enemy, Clay said. You have friends now. He ducked his head to meet her eyes. You have me. Get what I mean? There's a certain level of contentment and friendship that reassuring your friend that they mean something to you does not mean that you are automatically the perfect couple. Think if it was Jambu saying it to Glory after she became queen of 2 tribes and was feeling stressed about the Nightwings disliking her. You don't need to worry about them, Glory, Jambu said. You have friends. He ducked his head to meet her eyes. You have me. But in Peril's case, she was emotionally abused and manipulated to think that only one dragon would actually accept her, Queen Scarlet. So Clay's saying that would be good for her in terms of knowing other dragons would be able to learn to accept her. So Ceril learning that another dragon will be able to love her is good, right? But that leads me to the last point I'm making about Ceril. Yes, I understand that Ceril clinged on to the first dragon who treated her like an actual dragon, not some murder weapon. But that leaves Clay. He never had any intentions to make Ceril have a crush on him. He always likes to see the best in everyone, and Ceril is no exception. I do think it was a good idea on Tui's part to make Ceril feel attached to Clay, but to make it a romantical thing wasn't a good idea when she wrote Clay the way she did. When I interviewed people, I got a lot of people saying that they liked the idea of one dragon being madly in love with the other, but the other being completely oblivious to it. Which is an it's okay concept if it's written properly. But you can feel Ceril's frustration. In her book, she's trying to cling on to the slim chance that Clay might love her back. Now, this does lead to some important plot points and character motives, but Clay makes it clear that he just wants to be friends. So in the end, I can't help but feel bad for Ceril whenever someone brings up her crush in front of Clay. He gets uncomfortable, and Ceril just has to sit through it like nothing is wrong. Clay leads her on, despite knowing that she has a crush on him. He does things like call her their Wings of Fire, and makes Ceril feel like Clay loves her more than just friends, making it even more painful for her when Clay denies having a crush on her later in the story. No, Clay isn't doing it intentionally. It is Ceril who is seeing the compliments as just some flirting, but she has an excuse. She grew up where she was taught no one would ever love her, so of course she's going to think that just some nice gesture is way more than just being nice. She needs to get used to being complimented just as a way of being nice and not flirting. So I blame Clay. I know people like Clay because he acts thick-headed, but he should really be able to see that Peril is suffering, especially when there are multiple dragons telling him. And overall, Peril deserves someone who can be patient with her. And after some thinking, I found the perfect ship. Peril and Turtle. Turtle and Peril are very similar. Both have powers that could change the way someone views them. They both clinged on to the hope that they'd please someone who would always want more from them. Peril and Scarlet, and Turtle, Gil, and Coral, which makes it even easier to understand each other. Another thing that works well with them is that Turtle being so quiet and calm, he could help Peril control her temper and not lash out as much, as well as teaching Peril to not draw so much attention to herself. And Peril could help Turtle not be so much of a boring slug, to speak up about what he wants. I think Peril and Turtle are perfect because they're opposites, and I know that's good because a lot of people just ship Peril and Clay together because they're opposites. They just like that about it. Turtle and Peril are even more opposites than Peril and Clay. Plus, I think Peril is just going to have a silly crush on Clay for a while, and that she's gonna have to get over. I think as soon as Peril gets used to people actually accepting her, she'll get over the crush of Clay because, for a while he was the only one who accepted her. But now that there's people who actually like her, I think she's gonna get over the crush of Clay. Later, I think I'll do a video on why Turtle and Kinkajou doesn't work as a ship, but for now, I think this video is done. Thank you for watching, and I hope you were able to consider all my reasonings for why Peril and Clay does not work as a ship. Also, let me know if you want me to do different ships in the future. I'm planning on doing one for Glory and Deathbringer, and also one for Turtle and Kinkajou. Put in your suggestions for things that you don't like and unpopular Wings of Fire opinions, and I can cover them. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope to catch you in the next one.